Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. While President Biden continues to amaze me, he is going after everything President Trump helped in this country. Now he's coming after the capital markets and your retirement and your investment funds. He's trying to destroy capitalism. As we've heard before, and many of you may have heard this thing about this great reset, trying to reset capitalism and turn it into what? Communism, I would say. He will not be satisfied until he has stockbrokers and investment counselors committing suicide because fear of their clients will blame them for ruining their financial lives. You remember the 1920s and the Great Depression and the crash of our stock market? Yeah, it hasn't happened before, but with all these things that our present president is doing, he is destroying our economy, destroying the jobs. He's trying to destroy the oil industry. There's so many things that he is trying to do away with that he will leave nothing or no stone unturned. So, when is all this going to stop? That's the question a lot of us here in America are asking. When is all this going to stop? It's like been a non-stop destruction path from day one, right after the inauguration. Now he has 43 executive orders, I believe, that have been signed in. All of them trying to destroy the American society, the American people, because the fact of the matter is, people, that the stuff he's going after, the stuff that President Trump did, like tax rollbacks and all these things on people in this country. The stimulus may help you a little bit, but it's not going to help me restore my business. And I'm sure some of you it's not going to help you restore yours. Some of you have to take lesser paying jobs just to try to get by during these situations that are going on. The answer to when it's all going to stop, people, and I have people asking me this question over and over again, it's going to stop when God stops it. Simple as that. And he will, and I'm going to be watching. Biden is building a house of cards. It is eventually going to come down on the Democrats' head for placing him in office. I keep thinking, what will happen when he opens his mouth and tries to tell another lie and the real truth comes out? Remember, this man has some issues with his brain. He's going to come out one day and he's going to open his mouth and they're going to think he's going to say what they told him to say, and he's going to come out and just start having a conversation openly about what he knows that he's been hiding, and also the Democrat Party. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, President Trump's legal team denied the Democrats for their request for President Trump to come and testify. The decision was made after Representative Jamie Raskin, the Democrat from Maryland, issued an invitation to the President Donald J. Trump, who I still believe is the real president, and a letter Thursday. Testify for what? Well, what is he testifying for? This is just another sham impeachment attempt. Defense attorneys replied, calling it a publicity stunt. They asserted the move confirmed Democrats cannot prove allegations against the 45th president of these United States. In Raskin's letter, he cited a brief filed by President Trump's attorneys in which they called the trial unconstitutional, which it is. As a matter of fact, even if it's not under the Constitution, it absolutely makes no sense. Why are you trying to attack a president that's already left office? Raskins claimed he wanted to give the president a chance to explain. Explain what? What I have no idea about. President Trump did nothing wrong. But on the Democrat side, that's another story. And if you want to know what President Trump wants to say, all you have to do is listen to his rally speech. It was recorded. He didn't incite anything. As usual, as they accused him of quid pro quo, no proof whatsoever. Inciting a riot or whatever, no proof whatsoever. And I told you before, the timeline doesn't even add up in that riot thing that they're talking about at the Capitol. It didn't go on the same time. There were even witnesses that said that people were already there and they weren't even at the rally where Trump was. So how could he incite them? Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana, signaled he's unsure on whether he would like to hear testimony from the president himself. However, Democrat leadership has yet to announce if witnesses will be called to stand amid the upcoming trial or sham impeachment trial. Cassidy also added he believes the Democrats-led House failed at building a case and is scrambling to build one right now at this last minute. He slammed Democrats for rushing the process once again, as they did in the first sham impeachment and the second sham, while noting they only took 5 hours from the time they initiated the impeachment article presentations until the time they voted. And by the way, they also canceled Marjorie Taylor Greene because she pointed out publicly about Biden's misgivings and the things that he did to get into office that nobody seemed to notice. These things involving his family, these things have been investigated for 2 years. We should have known this as the American public so that we could weigh this in electing this sitting president. President-elect was guilty of what they previously tried President Trump for. He was guilty of it. Abuse of power and quid pro quo. He did it. He admitted to it in public, on TV, on tape. The first impeachment trial was a farce. The second one is as well. And people, it's just a double standard. Why is the Democrats not impeaching President Biden? Did he not do these things? And was he in office when he did it? Yes. Is he out of office now? Yes. So why are we not impeaching President Joe Biden for what he did in the prior administration and is still involving themselves with the same countries and the same peoples that were involved in that very same scam or actual cause for impeachment of a sitting president, not somebody who's already left and on vacation in Florida. I want to read this little statement here. Greene, I'm talking about Representative Greene. Greene then called out, she addressed Congress, and called out the elites in Congress as well as the mainstream media for being complicit in dividing our country. And she is correct. And if this Congress, she said, is to tolerate members that condone riots, that have hurt American people, attack police officers, occupy federal property, burn businesses and cities, but yet wants to condemn me and crucify me in the public square for words that I said and I regret a few years ago before I was even considered, before she was even considered for any office, then I think we are in real big problem, a very big problem, Greene stated. What shall we do as Americans? Shall we stay divided like this? Will we allow the media that is just as guilty as QAnon of presenting truth and lies to divide us? Will we allow ourselves to be addicted to hate and hating one another? And she ends by saying, I hope not. And I hope not either, because that would be a very sad thing to have that happen. Okay. Let's go and move on to the next thing here. Georgians who elected Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to address you real quick. Please continue to stand with her in her fight for her 14th district in Congress. She was targeted solely because she was a Trump supporter. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. That's why she was targeted. She came into the House wearing a Trump attire when she stepped into the House of Representatives on the first day, making America great again. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. You're on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, the Gateway pundits came out with an article recently praising President Trump and his presidency. President Trump spearheaded, they said, the greatest market increase in U.S. history. And now President Biden is coming after the market. In other words, he wants to destroy your retirement savings by attempting to shut down capital markets. I'm telling you this. I don't think he has the power, but I am sure he could do some damage, as he's already done in attacking our jobs, the unions, and everybody else in this country from day one. The Gateway pundits reported President Trump as the best president for the stock market in U.S. history. On Thursday, the pundit listed the 45th president and his economic achievements. While in office, he oversaw two of the country's greatest market increases and set up a record for the most of all highs during a single presidency. Wow. He also tied former President Ronald Reagan for the most consecutive daily Dow all-time highs. Additionally, the pundits stated President Trump oversaw the largest single-day increase of the Dow Jones in the midst of the pandemic, and where they broke 30,000 under presidency of Donald J. Trump. And Joe Biden wants to destroy the market instead of helping to increase the American businesses and people's gains in the market. It's about your 401k and your other entire retirement investments and your general investments, period. Greene defended herself on Thursday because she really did nothing wrong. This is one of the things that we have to face with this Democrat Party. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you here in a minute, because we do have some more things that we'd like to share with you regarding this present government. With you in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, the Republicans got together for a caucus meeting, a closed-door meeting in Congress just yesterday. Republicans were there to vote on Representative Cheney retaining her post as conference chair. I'll call her turncoat Cheney because she voted against the American people when it came up to supporting Donald J. Trump in his sham impeachment trial. And I believe there was probably a lot of things going on in that meeting because there were some turncoats there and they need to stick together. How can our party move forward if there's disunity between it? I agree with Kevin McCarthy on that, but this keeping her as the head of the conference chair of the Republican Party, I don't necessarily agree with that. But she did vote against the Republican Party when it came to this impeachment. To me, that's a problem. That's a problem for the Republican Party. Republican Liz Cheney, Republican from Wyoming, will remain in her leadership position as a Republican conference chair. In a secret ballot Wednesday night, 145 House members voted to keep Cheney in her role, with 61 voting to have her removed. These are Republican caucus meeting and voting. Biden revives. This is something else in the news here. This is what we got, people. We got this president here. This is what I'm saying. I said earlier, when is all this going to stop? Biden revives false claims he was shot while overseas. And where we first heard it, we heard it first in a debate in 2007. President Trump brought out some of his lies during his last campaign. I have a little list here. We're gonna read a little bit of this list here. In 1987, Joe Biden lied about marching for civil rights. In 2007, he lied about being shot in Iraq. 2008, he lied about a helicopter trip in Afghanistan. 2008 as well, he lied about being a coal miner. 2019, he lied about giving a soldier a medal. 2020, he lied about being arrested in Africa. I'm saying it's a good thing that he didn't get arrested in Africa. I don't think he would have made it out. President Trump brought out these lies on a campaign trail. And these are all known people. These are out in the open for the public to review. So I say to you, Joe Biden, stop lying. I'm sorry. I said stop lying, but I realize you're just following your father's lead. And not your earthly father, mind you, if you get my drift, the father of lies. Enough said. Well, we're going to read a little something else here. I was researching a few things here, if you don't mind. And this is what I see here. And this is what happened with this. When I want to present the opposition point in regard to Liz Cheney and pretty much tell you what McCarthy actually said. So I'm going to read exactly from this statement here. Congressman McCarthy said, "We just had a very good conference members together, caucus member meeting. But the number one thing that happened in this kind of conference was unity," stated McCarthy. "People were able to air their differences. People were able to focus. The most important part that came out of this conference was where our focus is at." Republicans accused Cheney, who is currently the third highest ranking GOP member in the House, of failing to abide by the spirit of the rules of Republican conference and ignoring preferences of the Republican voters. Now notice we said voters, not necessarily the people that are in office in the party. And they're right, people. Even though we lost in that vote in bringing this about, we need to look at that because they are the Republican Party and they are the ones that we're dealing with in regard to our legislation. So they were ignoring the prefaces. Cheney ignored the prefaces, and several other congressmen ignored the prefaces of the Republican Party. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, Republican from Louisiana, said lawmakers were able to address their problems together by working as a team to bring unity within the Republican Party. We spent hours where members on every side of the issue looked at each other in the eye and aired their grievances. Well, that's very good that they aired their grievances, but the problem is what were their grievances? I want to hear what our Congress people were actually talking about. The reason why is because what are they saying behind closed doors? This is the same kind of stuff we were getting from the Democrats. But, of course, to me, it's just a rise up against President Trump. As usual, the Republicans didn't agree with certain things that he did, which is all right. It's their right to disagree. But if you're going to be representing the people who are governed, which are the American people, you need to go along with them. Because I'm telling you, Republican Party, you say whatever you want to say. When it comes to 2022, the people will be heard. They will be heard. So you need to get it across to us what it is and what the issues were that you supposedly were discussing. I know the Sham Impeachment probably was one of them, but you people, you need to come together. You do need to come together, because how can we achieve anything if we have a very small group or a little difference in the groups in the House of Representatives from Congress as far as the Democrats and Republicans, and then the Republicans are going over to the Democrat side? That is not helping us at all, because Democrats stick together regardless of whether they believe that the leader of their party is right or wrong. I'm telling you, it's just a fact. And then if you got Republicans going over, guess what? The Republicans are not going to accomplish anything in this present Congress. So we're going to take a short break right now. We will be right back with you here in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, people, we got to get something together in this nation. I'm telling you, we got somebody in the White House that tells lies, forgets the lies he told, gets up and tells the same lies again, or create new lies. And what did I tell you earlier? He's talking from what he knows. His father knows it, and I'm not talking about his earthly father. This country right now is being ruled, I'm telling you, believe it or not, is being ruled by the father of lies. You got lies in the media, you got lies in the government, you got lies in the presidency. All these lies are just coming out. You got people saying that they're doing stuff for America, yet they're slitting our throat with their policies and legislations. And this we're talking about is the Democrat Party and their leadership. And one other thing. Let's recognize this. And this is where President Trump had a lot of issues too with the people in the government. President Trump represented the Republicans as well as the Democrats. I don't know if any of you recognize this, but when President Trump was in office, he didn't rush to judgment on different issues. He waited. A lot of times I watched him. He waited to see what the Democrats were going to say. He didn't just jump out and say, well, I'm going to do an executive order that should shut you up. But he would tell them, I'm trying to get this across to you. You're not listening. If you don't move this direction and this benefit to the American people, then I may have to do an executive order. Because this is for the benefit of the governed, the American people. And I watched it many times. Some of you look at news programs or press conferences and stuff like that, and I guess I'm a little strange, because I look and I listen to what the people are saying. I listen to the intent. I watch the intent. And through the time that President Trump was in office, it was always his intent to work with both parties to accomplish legislation and different things that are needed in this government. He never, he never bum rushed them and pushed them constantly away. He listened to the people in his government because he was the president. He was the one over the Democrat Party, Republican Party, whatever other parties in there. He was the president of these United States, and he realized that he represented both sides of the aisle. And a lot of times, he got some legislation passed. Everybody want to push this out of the way. I'm telling you, they want to push this out. What about his bill that he put through that Kamala Harris wanted to do? The prison reform, because she felt guilty for what she did to the men, the African-American men in California. But I'm telling you, it's this. When she came to that bill, what did President Trump do? He says, well, I understand what you're saying. And President Trump signed the bill into law. So what did we miss? What we missed is the mainstream media recognizing that fact. President Trump did a lot of good in office with the help of the Democrat Party. And what I mean by that, these laws and these legislation couldn't be approved without all of the House and the Senate or whoever is there agreeing. Because remember, the Republicans didn't have control of the House during President Trump's, part of President Trump's term either. Yet legislation went through because he agreed with it. He didn't veto it. If they said something he could agree with it, he agreed with it and he put it through. So what's the problem? The problem is that they hated President Trump from day one. They were trying to get him out of office from day one. And it was not for anything that he did, but it was for who he was. They couldn't stand it. The man is very intelligent. He is a genius. And I'm telling you, you have not seen the last of President Donald J. Trump. This sham impeachment, which is seeking to keep him from running for office again, is unconstitutional and one big lie. President Trump did nothing, said nothing at all that incited any riot in his speech. I listened to him. But let me speak to Congress, or not Congress, let me speak to the Senate on this issue before I close. Senators in the U.S. Senate, you need to play the video with President Trump and what he said when he was at that rally. I think you can make no judgment unless you play that video. And you Republicans, you listen to me out here, you want to see if anything he said in that speech he made there, without it being doctored, of course, caused anything to say any riots, any insurrection, which you're trying to accuse him of, which never happened. There was some who said, specifically Representative Jordan, of course, they're going to bring him in the Senate to say anything. But he said when the Capitol was breached, President Trump was still at the rally. And matter of fact, he said he believed that he was still speaking. So this is what we are facing, people. This is what the type of stuff that we are facing. We got a president in there, continues to lie to the American people, continue to lie to anyone that wants to hear the truth. Let's put it that way. Then there was a movie that came out. I got to say this before I close. Anybody remember Jim Carrey's movie, The Liar, and where he played an attorney that lied all the time, did all kinds of things to lie and get over on the people or to get his defendants set off? He would lie left and right. Some of you remember this movie called Liar. So what did he do? He went to sleep. His son said that he was a liar. He thought his son said he was a lawyer. He said, well, Dad, he said, you're a liar. And so what happened? He went to sleep. And I pray this happens to Joe Biden. He went to sleep. And he woke up and he became unable to lie. He was not able to lie anymore. Every time he opened his mouth to lie, the truth came forward. I like to see it in mainstream media too, because it's coming now. I see some of them, they're actually speaking the truth, some of them on some issues. But I want to see more of it. I want to see lies wiped out when they open their mouth. I'm saying they need to speak the truth, whether they want to or not. Let it flow out of their mouth, Lord. Let it flow out of their mouth, and especially our President, Joe Biden. Well, I want to thank you for joining us here at the Black Conservative Voice. Once again, you're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Until next time, this is David Colbert saying good night and God bless.